completely silent on the ninth floor of the library, except for the sound of my hands flying across my keyboard, typing furiously to finish the last sentence of my essay. Running on pure espresso and adrenaline, my thoughts were racing, my vision started to go blurry, and suddenly it felt like I could collapse. My body was like a machine, pushing through exhaustion to churn out word after word. Finally, I hit submit and I slammed my laptop shut. For the first time in what seemed like days, I looked out the window and I noticed that the sky was bright orange and pink. I suddenly realized that it was already morning and the sun was rising. So without even trying, I had pulled yet another all-nighter in the library. As I stumbled downstairs and left, going back to my dorm, campus was just starting to wake up. And as I walked through the courtyard, a voice in my head kept saying, "It's time to rest, it's time to rest," but I ignored it. Instead, I went back to my dorm room, showered, changed clothes, and started my day knowing full well that I would probably repeat the same cycle for the rest of the week. Now, as a first-generation college student and a Puerto Rican, Jamaican, Chinese woman, I was the first in my own family to step foot on a college campus. And let's be honest, I did not want to mess it up. Being given an education and being the first in my family to experience that gift, it really motivated me. And I was determined to not let a single opportunity slip through the cracks. So when I got there, I hustled. I earned awards, scholarships, recognition. I landed plenty of leadership positions and accolades. And I was really lucky to have a lot of friends, social circles, and support systems. On the outside, it looked like everything was perfectly aligned. But underneath it all, deep in my core, I knew that something was off. Often I was stressed and exhausted to the bone, and I started to feel a lingering sadness and darkness, a heaviness that I struggled to put into words. Now, if you've ever found yourself in a similar position, you are not alone in that. This feeling, it's almost like living a double life. You are striving to be calm and cool on the surface, but on the inside, you feel like you're about to collapse. You put on a brave face and you smile, but on the inside, the pressure feels really unbearable. It's almost like you're a hot, boiling tea kettle ready to burst. Now, eventually, I discovered a term for this feeling. Stanford University affectionately calls this duck syndrome. It's a phenomenon that's commonly found in college students. And the idea is that, much like ducks, we look cool and calm on the surface, yet underneath the water, we're paddling frantically just to stay afloat. Now, when you're in college, you look around and you see your friends, they're effortlessly gliding through their lives, acing exams, landing internships, you're going to parties, everyone's at the tailgate, everyone's capturing these beautiful memories. Meanwhile, you're trying to do all of these things. You're going on 4 hours of sleep. You're hustling, working hard late into the night, and somehow you still feel empty and you still feel inadequate. Now, it's no secret that many of us value success, right? We want to show off our list of achievements and our cool highlight reel. So as a result, we overwork ourselves at the expense of our physical and mental health. Now, duck syndrome is no formal clinical diagnosis, of course, but the symptoms look a lot like being a workaholic, stress, anxiety, perfectionism, and burnout. And while the name duck syndrome sounds pretty cute, in most cases, duck syndrome can also look like loneliness, isolation, confusion, depression, and in extreme cases, even suicide. Now, in 2003, Duke University surveyed their students about college life, and they found that many of the students, most notably women, reported that they continuously felt this intense pressure to appear effortlessly perfect. Now, similar to the students at Duke, students at UPenn felt the exact same way, and they even coined their own version of the term of what they were experiencing. They called it the Penn face, the idea that students on campus put on a happy face every day and they appear confident and cool on the outside, but on the inside, they're struggling. In 2014, following the death of one of their own students on campus, Penn freshman and student athlete Madison Holleran, the New York Times published a feature about her and the tragic link between suicide on college campuses and the pressure of perfection. Now, I remember being a college sophomore, receiving news that one of my former classmates, her name was Keegan, she too had died by suicide. And she was kind. She was an artist. She was a brilliant, brilliant writer. And you hear these words all the time when it comes to mental health and wellness that you just never would have known that that person was struggling with something. That's the thing about Duck syndrome. No matter how successful or how confident or cool someone may seem, mental health doesn't discriminate, and you never know what someone's dealing with behind closed doors. And I imagine all of us here have been affected by Duck syndrome or the pressure of perfection in some way throughout our journey. Whether you're a college student or you're a campus professional, you also know that Duck syndrome is often ingrained in our culture, and we have to continuously work to dismantle the idea that burnout is a badge of honor for being a good student. It's time to start caring for our mental health and acknowledge when we need help, because when we do that, we give other people the invitation to do the same. When I reflect on my college experience, I remember how every exhausting all-nighter brought me closer to getting an A+ on an assignment and boosting my resume, but it pushed me further away from my mental health and well-being. So to close, I'll share with you a little bit of advice that I wish I would have received and listened to when I was a college student. Breathe, slow down, take a nap, don't forget to eat and drink water. Find people who can support you, a community. Take care of yourself and don't apologize for it. The only way that we can continue to combat the culture of Duck syndrome is through intentional self-care. College can be a beautiful, memorable, and wild ride, but I'll be honest, it goes by in the blink of an eye, and you won't remember very much if you don't pause to take care of your mental health and well-being. After all, ducks need their rest too.